Hi, I'm Gandharva, and I recently watched a new documentary on the great musician, composer Frank Zappa. So I thought it might be interesting to take a brief look at his blueprint. So there are 8 areas of life, and there are 8 personalities that will govern each area. The spiritual being the most important. So in his spiritual area, Mr. Zappa had the integrative personality. This is a solar energy. It's a shining, radiating energy, meaning that whenever you saw him, he was radiating. He was very charismatic on stage, especially. You know, your eye went right to him like that. Also, it made him interested in many different forms of music, from avant garde to doo wop to rock and roll to jazz, um, because, like the sun shines on everything, doesn't just shine on one thing, his interests were everywhere. And it really did show in the music that he created. It was all over the place, all kinds of influences like that. Now, in his desire area, which is the area that doesn't make us happy forever, it can only make us happy, briefly or in the moment. He had the rebel personality. The rebel is, wants to be different, wants to be strange, wants to be unique, wants to be unusual. And with the group that he formed, the Mothers of Invention, they were pretty crazy. They dressed really differently. They had weird names for the records, and just attracted a lot of attention for being different. And that's fine, although because it was a desire for him rather than a spiritual impulse, it probably did not make him happy in the long run to portray himself as a rebel, even though he tried to do that. Um, it was just for momentary pleasure. He had the devotional personality in his relationship area, overall relationships. And some people said he could be cruel. And this can be what happens when the devotional personality gets challenged or is stressed in some way. The person pulls back, retreats, gets either very quiet, and or cruel in that sense. Um, this is a lunar energy, and they say about the moon is a harsh mistress. So he could be like that with people, and that's why, because of that devotional personality um, being somewhat out of balance. People also said he was emotionally distant and wouldn't, speak about his emotions much, was very private, very inward. This is because he had the loner personality in the emotional area. That's the one that is the most inward and the most quiet and the most private, like that. In his marriage area, he had the idealist personality. And that's one reason why he was married for so long, because this is a very romantic, idealistic energy. They look at their partner always in the positive, and they believe in soulmates. They believe in ultimate romance, romance that lasts forever. One of the biggest challenges he had was in the creative play area, and there he was governed by the communicator personality. So he probably did not have much fun in his life, even though it seemed like he was, you know, being weird and being unusual because of those rebel desires. Inwardly, he was not having much fun at all, I would say. And that can lead to certain types of addictions. I don't think he was much for drugs or alcohol. I know he spoke out a lot about drug use. But there are other kinds of addictions that can happen because of the challenge in the creative play area. He could have been addicted to his music, to his work, to his composing, because that is very much like the communicator as well. So, in the career area, he had the warrior, and people said he was a tough master. Um, and, it all had to be his way, and if it wasn't his way, it didn't happen like that. And that's the warrior. Very independent, very passionate about what they do, and that's how he was with his work. With his physical health, it's very interesting. In 1993, he died of prostate cancer. Well, he has physically the imbalance of oiliness. That's what we call it in the Your Life Blueprint system, oily quality. And the oiliness governs the kidney, the bladder, and the reproductive system, and especially in men, the prostate. So he was born with a tendency toward prostate problems, and that is what ended his life. Also, I think in 1971, he fell off a stage and he injured his voice box to the point where after that his voice was very low, and he also had chronic back pain after that for the rest of his life. Well, the meridians that govern the oily quality are the kidney meridian and the bladder meridian. And the kidney meridian runs right through the throat, right through the voice box. And the bladder meridian runs up both sides of the spine. So the meridians can tell us the types of things we might be prone to, injuries and so forth. Also, the kidney meridian runs right through the prostate area. So very interesting, right? He was prone to all of these things because of this oily quality, which governed for him the kidney meridian and the bladder meridian and the reproductive system. But what an amazing life he had. So much music. He radiated it out to the world. And we are much better off for having had the genius of Frank Zappa in the world.